Welcome back to the Old School Traveler. Just got back off a plane, and I got to tell you where I went to. I went to Cologne, Panama. That's right, Cologne, Panama. And let me tell you about Cologne, Panama. Most of Central and South America are pretty clean cities nowadays. You don't have a lot of crime. The population is on the up and up. People are doing good things, but not in Cologne, Panama. No, 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 no. Cologne is crime infested, especially when you compare it to the other cities in Panama, like Boquete and Panama City and David. Yeah, Cologne is it got left behind on this resurgence in Panama. It definitely got left behind. But now, Cologne is a Caribbean city. It's on the Caribbean side of Panama. If you've never been there before, don't go. Go only if you are on a cruise ship and it stops there. No, what I did was that I went, it was on a cruise ship the first time I went. And it gave me the impression that it was a pretty much on a up and up clean city. No. When I went back, I saw the real city. And I kept wondering why Cologne was so much cheaper than Panama City. They're both coastal cities. One's on the Pacific and one's on the Caribbean. And so I kept wondering why. Now I know why. Crime has your name written all over it. Crime sees you before you see it by far. And it's just a city that economically, just nothing there if you don't work at the port. If you don't work at the port, you got to own some mom and pop store because there's no money there. Houses are super cheap. But this is the security system you got to buy for the house. It's going to cost more than the house if you want to keep your house. Yeah, I rented a place, and this is like one of the best hotels in the city, and I was paying like $90 a night. I kept wondering why. I'm like, this is a great location. Well, guess what? It was the only location. It was the only one. So my whole point to this is that there's nothing to do in Cologne. There really is nothing to do. You got a small boardwalk that you can walk up and down in about 10 seconds. Don't deviate far from the port. And one thing about Cologne, Panama, that's unique that I thought was kind of weird. And Cologne is the second biggest city in Panama, I think. I think it's the second biggest, second or third. No worse than the third. They do not have any traffic lights. None at all. But and you drive at your own risk. They don't have traffic lights. And if they did have them, people would just ignore them. They'd be like, the hell with this right here. Driving is dangerous. I'm talking about super dangerous. And if you get a rental car, you're going to have the newest car in the city. So for them to just cut you off or hit you or whatever, it's not a big deal. The city seems very, very disorganized. It's almost like everybody sets their own rules and everyone's for themselves. It is a shit city. Yeah, the city don't look clean, and it's just one of those cities that you're thinking, why does this city even exist? It looked like something out of one of those old Asian cities, back in the day, where people got cars and you could tell they are the first generation of drivers in that generation, in that family, even though they're 40 years old. Yeah, Cologne is just kind of a weird, and I have pictures from the port because it's nothing really to see if you're in the city. I do have some from the city, but it's just nothing to see. Everything looks the exact same. I mean, everything looks the exact same. The old school traveler, I was just so disgusted because Panama is making money. Panama is an up and coming country, but they're not investing anything in Cologne. It's all going to the Pacific side or the northern part of the country. There's nothing in Panama. I mean, nothing in Cologne, Panama at all. It's just one of those things that you're like, okay, what is there to do? Nothing. And you're gonna see pictures that people put up that makes it looks all pretty. Look at my pictures. Look at my pictures. I think out of a week there, the most fun we had was going to look at the sloths. Now, I'm all about animals. I just don't want to own any because animals are like kids. They're a lot of work, and you never feel like you got your money out of it. You know, but the sloth, not aquarium, but like a sloth refugee center or something. But you would think that because Panama is a small country east to west, you can go from Cologne to Panama City. That's not too bad of a drive, maybe a couple of hours, maybe at the most 3. But when you do that, when you leave Cologne and you go to another city, you don't want to come back. You do not want to come back. No. You don't want to come back. There's a reason for that. There's nothing to come back to. Nothing at all. No, nothing to come back to. And you kind of feel bad for those who are not working at the port. Now, the good thing about Cologne is that they use U.S. dollars across Panama. That's the national currency. Really, is the U.S. dollar. It's 1 for 1. There's no math. There's no nothing. They have their own currency, and every now and then they'll try and give you that currency has changed. No, they got dollars. They just don't give you those dollars. But their currency isn't accepted anywhere in the United States outside of a bank that probably got held up last week. But and the people just don't look happy. They don't look happy at all. No, it's like a sad looking damn city. Nobody looks happy. But saying all that, if you go there, like I said, go on a cruise so you know exactly when you're gonna leave. If you go there, matter of fact, Cologne I don't even think they got an airport. I don't think they got an airport. What they do is real small and it flies to nowhere. Yeah, I mean, it goes nowhere. I didn't see an airport. I didn't see any sign for an airport. I'm sure they got one somewhere in the area. But Cologne is on the canal, on the east side of the canal, on the Caribbean side. And you can look at that city and just know at night you should not be out by yourself. You can look and see that. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing to even think about. You could look and see that and say at night, I'm not going to be here. And I'm definitely not walking the streets at night. Now, you could be stupid and want to do that. I don't know of any foreigner. I don't know any foreigner that did that or even thought about doing that. Never crossed my mind. And it's sad because, they got some good food somewhere around there. Because Panama got good food in general. They got good food in general. And they got some around there. But you kind of shaky to go outside. Even the restaurants they didn't even look nice. The restaurants didn't even look nice. I didn't see any place that I want to go eat at. And I know they got good food, but I don't see no place I want to go eat or even take a risk of walking down the streets. You got potholes, you got sewage, your draining system. Nothing looked like it worked. I'm talking about the entire city. Nothing looked like it worked. If it did, it would surprise me because nothing looked that way. People on bicycle, old cars. I didn't see a part of the city that looked like it was the haves, but I saw a lot of parts of the city like it was the have-nots. I seen a lot of that. Yeah, I didn't see anything that looked like it was the haves. So, they got sanctuaries, sloth sanctuaries. They got some other things there. And here's the funny thing about it. Everybody in Central America claims that they got, Central and South America for that part, claims that they have the best coffee. Everybody say the same shit. And you know what? I'm not a coffee drinker, but those who are, I just didn't get a sense that the cup of coffee they had in the hotel or even in a little cafe was the best that they ever had. No. But I also didn't see new car dealerships. Not one. All the cars I saw were on the streets and they were all beat up and raggedy. Didn't see anything that looked like it was new. But then again, I wouldn't buy a new car either because those potholes, and they don't have a lot of roads. They don't have a lot of roads. It's a lot of walking. And I don't mind that if you felt safe enough to walk. But you don't feel that way there. You just don't get that vibe. No, you don't get that vibe at all. And like I said, for a city that's one of the largest in that country, you would think somebody somewhere put some money into it, but that is just not the case at all. It's just a functioning dump. I don't know if it's even functioning. But I saw a lot of old people. So that means that they've been there a long time. And the city is not diverse, it's not international, it's none of that stuff. You got the local nationals, and that's about it. But I understand that because I'm thinking, who in the hell is going to move here? But now, that's the city of Cologne. But you also have the province of Cologne, which got so much potential because it's on the coast. Cologne, the city itself, is the capital of the province of Cologne. And you can see that, hey, you drive 8 miles, just taking a risk, 8 miles north of Cologne, and you say, this place has got potential. If there were some investments made, but if the host government don't make any investments in the infrastructure, why would somebody outside do that? No. If you can't fix a pothole, it's not like they got one pothole. It's every 3 or 4 feet. The guy, you know what? I was going to say, the guy who fixes your struts and shocks is making a fortune, but hell, I don't think they're getting those fixed at all on any car they have. No. You can look at how the car bounces and say, Jesus Christ, But I guess their attitude is, hey, if I need struts and shocks, just add some more pillows. Sit on some more pillows, and you'll be all right. You'll soften the blow a little bit. But that is a shame for a city that's on the coast. Normally, if a city's on the coast and there's no investments, something is totally screwed up in that city. And like I said, you read the newspaper about the crime, and you just see a lot of dubious looking characters walking around. They staring at you, and when you walk past them, you turn around and find out they still staring at you. And it's not because you're black, white, blue, or green, or a foreigner. That is just the way that city is been developed. That's just the way that city is. So there's just no reason to ever want to go to Cologne. And it's sad because, like I said earlier, I know they got some food there. Because, you see a little, but like I said, the restaurants look like they're boarded up or heavy doors or I don't know. I didn't even see really any freight trucks. I didn't see a bunch of them. The ones that bring goods in and out of the city. Didn't see any of that there. No. Didn't see it. Looked for it, didn't see it. So that's the sad part, is that you hate seeing. It reminds me of Toledo, Ohio, or Dayton, Ohio. A city that maybe one day it was prosperous when they was building the Panama Canal. Maybe one time it was real, real prosperous, and just that the best days have long gone, and they're not coming back. I always think if I was to go put in maybe $500 million into that place, that could be the next resort in the Caribbean that no one's ever been to or everybody ignored it. But all the cruise ships stop there a lot. But they leave you in a very, very guarded and safe area. They're not going to have you just wandering around Cologne knowing that they got to report to the authorities you're missing. I'm not saying everybody's a murderer, but I'm saying you walk around, you get an idea, it looks like Baltimore. Everybody may not be a murderer, but they sure as the hell give you the look like they are going to be one, and you're going to be the victim. Oh yeah. They give you that, and you like, holy hell, what's up with these people? The kids don't look well taken care of. And when I say that, you see a lot of young kids straggling down the street. And I'm thinking, you got an 8 or 9 year old, and that kid, and that kid is just wondering about themselves. But one thing you can say about, Cologne is that the weather is nice. The weather is nice. There's no denying that. The weather is very, very, very nice. But saying that, and that's why I'm thinking, if the host government is going to ignore that city the way they have been, from what I see, then why would anybody else want to make a heavy investment? Because that infrastructure just never, ever, ever got put in place. It's like they just built roads and hope for the best. They didn't build them very well because they said, hey, it's Cologne. No one's going to notice that we got potholes everywhere. No one's going to notice that all the roads are narrow. You know, I mean, the street roads, we took a couple street roads, and I swear to God, you thought these buses were going to just smack one another on purpose. You're like, nope. They mirrors, you know, their rearview mirrors and outdoor mirrors and outside mirrors barely miss one another. But they're very good drivers because there's no way in hell. You know, when I did it, I just had to run off the edge a little bit to make sure I can pass without getting smacked. And I don't know why they got lines in the road saying, you know, this is the left, this is the right, stay in your lane. There is no lane. Yeah, you don't have to worry about staying in your lane. There is no lane. So this is the old school traveler telling you Cologne is Cologne, and you're taking a risk when you go there. Go on a cruise ship. Do not go on your own itinerary like I did. But at the same time, for most of my getting around, I hired a driver, not Uber. I hired a driver, and everything went fine. I made it back to tell you about this video, but just be careful when you go. And you know, it's sad to see such a pretty city with weather, but the city is ugly. The weather's pretty, but the weather is just, I mean, the weather is the reason you want to go. But like I said, if you think that what you see from other people's videos and the cruise ships and all that, no, you're going to be disappointed. You're going to be hurt, and it is what it is. But this is the Old School Traveler, and I'm going to tell you the way it is. Peace.